So people pleasers will often neglect themselves when it comes to pleasing others. It's almost like they see that they've got certain things to do, certain goals to achieve, but they'll say no to them in order to say yes to other people. And so let's start with that. If you're a people pleaser, then it's got to be challenging because there are self-esteem issues there. You don't want to let people down, and you probably have this massive value system based on giving, based on being there for people. And that might be a detriment to you right now, especially if you're finding yourself in a situation where you look at your life, your goals, your dreams, your desires, and you're not actually getting what you want out of life because you're so busy trying to please everyone else. The issue of being a people pleaser is you're trying to make other people happy by saying yes to them, but at the detriment of saying no to you. And the challenge there is you cannot make anyone happy. You cannot. It's not, you haven't got that power. The power of happiness for that particular person is within. You might please them in that moment, but are you really willing to continue to please other people at the detriment of yourself? And some people will say, well, you've got to give. It's selfless. It's a selfless act. Well, is it? Is it really? If you are in a plane, the masks are down, and you get the opportunity to save hundreds of people if you put the mask on first, as opposed to trying to put a mask on one person. It's very important that you don't start to continue to put masks on that one person when truly, if you took care of you first, you'd have the capacity and energy to help others. And so I want to give you a few tips. I mean, people pleasing is a huge topic, and I could go on about it a whole lot because I used to be a people pleaser that would say yes to everything. And it would absolutely make me feel resentful. And if you haven't watched the resentful video, then do go check it out because there's a breakdown of what that looks like in your everyday and how you can overcome that too. In day 1, I believe. Go check it out. So in terms of people pleasing, it affects your mental health because you're constantly putting yourself last. And that's obviously going to affect your self-image because what's happening is your self-care just goes out the window. And when your self-care goes out the window, it means that you're basically showing the world how you want to be treated. So instead of people being respectful and giving you, acknowledging the contribution you're adding to their world, more than likely they're going to be expecting you to do this. It's like standard for them because you're the person that never says no to them. You're the person that always says yes. You're the person that could drop your own plans and at the last minute and go help them in their plans. And so at this stage, I'm probably preaching to the choir now, right? I probably, you know this already. So what can you do about it? What are some steps? There's a huge amount of steps you can use. And I think one of the first key things is pausing. And I know pausing's come up already this week, but pausing, scientific research has shown if you pause for a specific amount of time, that it actually gives your brain the ability to catch up to what the request is being asked of so that you can actually make a more effective decision. A decision that is actually covered up in wisdom and is helpful for both parties. When you say yes straight off, you don't give yourself that chance. You're almost self-sabotaging yourself. And so it's very important. The first thing you're going to be doing is focusing on pausing. And then saying something simple like, can I get back to you on that? And if somebody says no, I need the answer now, I says, well, afraid not. Because you are in control of your life. So if somebody's constantly controlling you or trying to control you, trying to put deadlines on you when you want to make an informed decision, then they're not there for you, they are there for them. And so this is where you create your boundaries again. This is where you say, actually, no. This is where you say, I am not interested. Because you've got to make the decision based on you and what's going to be helpful for you as well as that person. You before anyone. Let's face it. You need to make sure that you are mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, everything ready for this, whatever they're asking you, the request. And so, can I get back to you on that one? Is a complete sentence, right? And just like, so pause in, can I get back to you on that one? Can I get back to you? And you can stay a date, can I get back to you in a week? Can I get back to you at the end of the day? Whatever works for you. You just need to know that you are in control. The second thing which is probably the second or third thing. But the second thing that I wanted to emphasize is focusing on your goals. Now, I always do this exercise with some of my clients where I say, okay, you've got friendships, you've got circles, you've got acquaintances. I want you to kind of draw a table of, like it's a bank almost, of how they're adding and how they're taking away from you. As in, what are they adding to your life? What are they actually taking away? And when you realize that the takeaway that they are taking from you is stuff that you are kind of contributing to, you're allowing those things to happen, what you then see is that how uneven the balance scales are, that perhaps they're taking much more than they're giving. And some people are like, well, friendships are not supposed to be about give and take. I disagree. I think any relationship has to have a payoff for both parties. Oftentimes there are friendships that we form that we're not very conscious of. We're almost going into friendships unconsciously, like, and then realizing that this isn't the right friendship for me. This isn't building me up. I don't feel built up by this person, and I'm not building this person up. I'm not helping this person to achieve their dreams either. And it almost feels like you're there, but there might be an even a more effective friendship, and perhaps you need to look at the relationship dynamics and see how you can change it, or altogether to scrap it. Because some friendships are accidental, or for seasons. The seasons passed, like literally it was summer where you met, and now it's like winter and it's time to like call off and say bye-bye. Oftentimes we're trying to be polite about it. We're trying to say, well, friendships are forever. Are they? Really? So look at that. Look at your goals and look at how the adding and taking away. You've got your goal, you've got your friendships, or you've got the people that are asking you to do favors for them, how it's adding and taking away from your life. So if you're focusing on your goal and you get tunnel vision, you realize, actually, this isn't in alignment with my goal, this thing that this person's requested. I'm really focused on what I want to achieve, and this is just a distraction, another distraction. I'm always having to drop things for this person. I'm always choosing to drop things for this person. Now I know this is what's happening. I'm going to create new boundaries, and I'm going to also make sure that I put my goal in the forefront, because my fulfillment doesn't come from helping people to achieve theirs at the cost of my goals. My fulfillment comes from me feeling abundant in what I'm doing and fulfilled in what I'm doing. And that mindset is completely going to shift the way you see your people pleasing. So those are the few things. A third thing, if I haven't mentioned this, is probably the third thing to do. Start with the small no's. So if somebody asks you, like a waiter asks you for if you want a glass of wine, or if you want to order now, you just say no. No, thank you. And that's really helpful because you're starting off small. You're crawling before you are walking, crawling before you're running. And so this is helpful for those of you that don't want to go from 0 to 100. Like, no is a complete sentence, by the way. But perhaps you find it challenging, and there's other things that you want to try first because it seems like a big jump for you. So there's that. So we've tried a few things, right? You've got a few tips and tricks you can use to start to put you at the forefront of your life, your story, your story, your life. And so another thing, last thing, probably too much tips now, but you can always try them all and see which one fits for you, is to recreate the narrative. Oftentimes when it comes to people pleasing, it's not always the issue of the person being narcissistic or taking advantage of us. It's sometimes the fact that we've got these self-esteem issues. We've got these issues within ourselves, our self-image, that we think that we're going to be failing somebody if we don't do certain things for them. And we've put all of this expectation on what they think is going to happen, or what we think is going to happen if we don't do something, if we don't fulfill their request. So our job is to actually rewrite the narrative. Rewrite the stories we're making in our heads. Rewrite the stories that we've started to create, because we are story making machines. We like to make stories out of everything. It's the human way of behaving. We see a situation, we filter it, we then create a new story so that we can kind of put in a nice tidy little box and say, oh, this is evidence of something. But we need to create some new evidence. So that's the last thing I'd say that's going to be helpful for you. There are other things available, and this is what I teach in my Unapologetically Visible program. That is open, that you can find a link for down below. But This is the last thing. So we've talked about people pleasing, what it looks like. We've talked about some of the tips that you can use. The last thing is centered around one of the tips I actually shared about goals. And it's about using my 5-step, actually it's 6 steps, 6-step framework. It's called Desire. And Desire is an acronym. And Desire is all about you knowing that you've got this desire in your life and keeping it at the forefront, but more so looking at 6 different pillars. So Desire stands for determined, as in how determined are you for this particular goal, for this new life change that you want. Knowing you're enough, as in your self-esteem is balanced. You're building mastery around your self-esteem. You're constantly doing things to build your self-esteem up. Being strategic, which is the third thing. So we've got determination, as in from a scale of 0 to 10, how determined are you to achieve this? How important is it for you? Then an E, which is enough. Do you feel like you are worthy of this? Do you feel like you are enough? S is strategic. Are you using strategies? Proven strategies, habits that work for you. Using the things like environment, excitement, enjoyment, things that will help to cultivate and trigger habits. The fourth thing is intuition. I put innovation before, but are you utilizing your intuition? Are you utilizing your intuition? Are you following your wisdom? Are you listening to your mind, heart, body, soul, gut? Are you really taking the time, the space to deal with the intuition piece and following those little roadmaps and little nudges, internal nudges that come up for you? And then R stands for the results. What does the success actually look like for you? How are you measuring success? Because most of the time when people say they want something, they're not even sure how they're measuring that. And then E stands for the right energy before, during, and after this whole process. So desire is all about like, okay, you're stressed because you're people pleasing. How do I get my own desires? Oh, I'm going to make sure that I'm determined. I feel like I'm enough. I'm strategic. I'm using my intuition. I'm looking at the results. And I'm making sure that my energy throughout this whole process is on point. And so you're almost using this as a masculine and feminine way of checking in with yourself, checking in with you, being a pleaser of yourself. Am I pleasing myself? Are my desires manifesting within because I'm doing that internal work? But then am I also showing it on the outside world by taking those strategic actions as well? So you want to be a people pleaser and continue to be stressed because you're over giving other people and not giving to yourself, then continue what you're doing. However, if you now you know what people pleasing looks like. Now you know there's some tips and strategies that are going to help you. Now you know how to focus on your desire so that you can focus on your big picture, what you want to achieve. And know that if you're not feeling enough, if you're not feeling determined, if you're not feeling like strategic and you haven't got those strategies in place, if you are not using your intuition, you're not looking at the right results, and you are not manifesting the right energy, you're not showing up with the right energy, then you know that there's some other things that you could be working on in order for that to work. Sometimes what we're doing is we're saying yes to other people because we don't want to look at ourselves, and we don't want to we would say, well, the reason why I failed at a particular desire that I've got is because I didn't really focus on it because I was helping other people. We make them the scapegoat when we need to be like addressing the reason why we didn't get it. There's a reason why, right? There's a reason why we didn't go for our desires or get our desires. And 9 times out of 10 is because our focus was on the wrong things. So that's number 3 of the release. Are you ready to release your people-pleasing mindset? Are you ready to release your people-pleasing behavior? Are you ready to release your people-pleasing energy? If you are, or now you are, because you've watched this and you want to be still watching this, click the link below to talk to me about the Unapologetically Visible program, which is all about you standing in your power, releasing the stresses of life, and welcoming in more freedom to know that you've got the pieces in place to truly own what you do desire, to clear out all those beliefs, to clear out the behavior, to clear out unbeneficial energy that doesn't serve you. If you want that, right? Click the link below and let's have a conversation.